And yeah, we'll get started right away. Thank you, Seth. Thank you very much. Okay, so basically, well, my name is Roberto Rodriguez. Very nice to meet you. I'm the inventor and co-founder of Clay for Salesforce. Clay is basically an application build system for JavaScript. We use it to build the next generation user interfaces and applications. We recently passed security review and are published in App Exchange. Today we're going to very quickly go through what is Clay, why we're building it, and how does it work. Then we're going to talk about building JavaScript applications with Clay. How does this integrate with Salesforce One, Heroku Connect, and the future? So let's get started. It's important to build JavaScript applications, first of all, because everybody knows it and everybody is using JavaScript. JavaScript has enabled the evolution of user interfaces. This means user interfaces that are single-page applications, serverless applications, those that make no page refresh, those that users can use quickly, and they communicate via AJAX to an external API. In the side of the user, this is like a technical explanation. From the viewpoint of the users, what they experience is an application that's faster, that's more responsive, that's similar to their mobile experience, or what they are using in Facebook, in social networks, or in more advanced web applications. Also, the JavaScript community has met the user expectations in terms of real-time video animations and a lot of these very cool things that are going on the web right now. So why is it that Salesforce applications, or not all Salesforce applications, are built with JavaScript? First of all, building JavaScript is very hard, actually. Like using some jQuery, making some animations or something that is small, it's easy, basically, it's very trivial. But actually building a full application in JavaScript, a single-page application, is pretty complicated. Because there are no classes, there's no data access, there's no folder structure, and there's really no documentation on how to do it. Also, setting up the project requires some experience, and if you don't know how to do it, every time you start a new project is going to be a problem because you're going to try to do it in different ways. It's the same. There is no standard path from going from a prototype all the way to, and there are over 25 challenges, cores, setting up Ajax, how the proxies work, how the REST routes work, the API URLs. It's a big problem. And also, there are no real Salesforce examples. There are many Hello Worlds and many like smaller components. But if you want to see an example of a full-fledged enterprise application for Salesforce, it's very hard to find. The reason that I know of this is because I've been building like Salesforce applications in JavaScript for the past 5 or 6 years. So it's been quite a challenge, and that is the reason why we built Clay. So how does it help? How does it help people build these applications in JavaScript that they behave faster and they require no page refresh? First of all, it's building the JavaScript way. When we build a JavaScript application outside of Salesforce, and like a regular one, we build it locally. With our text editors, in our local folders, we test locally, we build locally, and then we deploy. Also, we help write enterprise JavaScript. This means to separate your code in different files, in different folders, and actually make JavaScript behave like a more like a regular programming language, being Apex, Java, and .NET, and all those where you can structure, actually do some real programming. Or when I say real programming, it's applied programming principles, separation of concerns, encapsulation, all that. Also, Clay is non-opinionated, non-proprietary, so the developer is in charge to code the way he wants, the way he knows, most importantly, and to use the framework that he chooses. We also help by providing REST models in JavaScript to connect to the Salesforce API. So it's very easy to query, save, update, and all that. We also take care of the whole life cycle of Visualforce and static resources, all the way to uploading and everything else. I'm going to show you all this. I'm just going very quickly through the theory. So Clay in general is an application building system that just passed security review. It's a complete solution from app creation to deployment. It not only solves, but it automates over 25 steps that must be done in order to build a JavaScript application. Also, it allows developers, JavaScript developers, to build apps their way, the way they know how to do it. But also, it helps manages the application the Salesforce way. This means the installation, the security, in terms of FCLs and profiles and all that. Also, it uses no API calls because it uses Visualforce remoting technology, and it uses all Salesforce technologies on the inside. So a problem is when you get started with a project or a new developer gets on, or you're just starting to work in a new application, is setting up the environment. We base ourselves in Node.js and NPM. This is very standard way to write JavaScript for the server. It's like a new environment to write JavaScript, and it's very easy. You can actually just take a look how easy it is to get started. All you need to do is execute the command npm install Clay CLI, and this will actually get everything ready for you to get started. Next step will be to register with Clay. This will be the experience, the first time developer, and to log into your Salesforce account. Again, it's very easy. Just type using the CLI, type the things. You can even log into multiple accounts, because when you're working on apps, sometimes you want to deploy to I don't know, Sandbox, to another production, or to a testing environment, or to your actual environment. So you can have multiple orgs, and it makes it really easy. Also, so when you start an application, the first thing you want to do is create the folder structure, and we take care of that too. Basically, this is the way it works. You download, it creates a proposed structure that is very open, and you can do anything you want with it with just one command. The command is clay download. And we call it download because you can download anything from a blank folder structure to a full-fledged application, like a real application, or even an example for training or for testing purposes. An important thing to note here is that it includes an index.html that is actually a Visualforce page. So as you can see here, it's got an Apex page tag, and you can add any Visualforce tag. This is actually the Visualforce page that is going to be uploaded into Salesforce when it's time. Let's take a look at this works. Basically, we automate the whole process, right? So you will be developing locally, and the way to develop locally is we include a local server, and this will be the way. You start Clay server, and this happens is you're going to start a local server in localhost 3000, and the next thing we'll do is we'll upload that Visualforce page to the organization that you have registered. But that Visualforce page is going to point to localhost. One of the steps we automate is so that you can run this server in HTTPS, and all this can be possible with some transformation of URLs. In the end, it's going to open your web page automatically on the browser, and when you make a change in your text, in your text editor, in your local files, and you refresh the browser, it will just work. So when you're ready building your application locally, the next step that you will do is you will actually upload it. And there's a difference between uploading. Remember the first part, we are creating a Visualforce page that points all the assets like JavaScript, CSS, and images. It gets them from localhost, so when you change them, it will actually refresh. But when you want to launch, it's different. Basically, what you do is we pack the application, or we compile it as a static resource. Basically, it's just taking the application and making a zip file out of it. But in the real time, it takes a lot of transformation, and this is some of the steps that we take towards it. The next thing is that actual production Visualforce page that, instead of pointing to localhost, points toward that static resource, is uploaded. And the third step, again, is it just works. It opens in the browser, the production Visualforce page opens, and it can be run anywhere. Something else that I told you that Clay helps with is writing enterprise code. Writing good JavaScript code is pretty hard. So the way this works is that you can organize your code in different files. As you can see here, you can have a file for a folder for models, a folder for controllers, and basically you can start writing a JavaScript like you would write any other programming languages. If you know a little JavaScript from the old days especially, and from the jQuery days, you'll know that it was just a huge file, maybe 2,000 lines, 3,000 lines of code in one file. That's really hard to write and to maintain, and to actually write larger applications. So this is the way it works. Basically, we use Node.js, the way code is written in Node.js. So if you want to create a model, like in model.accounts, this is what you would do. You will just create an object, and that object will have other objects inside. It will have functions and everything, and you will say what object do you export. Export means this is the part of the file. This is the part of the JavaScript class that it will get that you will get when you do this. So when you require this file in the account, what you will get is this. This is the link, how it works. And then when you get this, you can start writing very maintainable and very separated code. And this is very good because you're allowed, as a developer, it would allow you to write larger applications that do more things without being too worried where the code is and if it will work or if it won't work. So this is the way to write programming languages. In the end, what you will get, and you will see in the example that we have right now, is that you can have one entry point, like an index.js file, where you can have all your controllers instantiated, just like you would in any other programming language. Another important part is that you can use every library, or most of the libraries in NPM, or the libraries that have been written for Node.js. Currently, there are almost 100,000 of those. And I'll show you how to use one of those, but it is really cool. So the first thing you will do is you will install an NPM package, let's say events. Second thing you will do is you will require it, because this is the way it works in Node.js and in JavaScript right now. We are writing code in the browser here. So once you do this, you basically inherit all the properties and all the features of this library. What this library does, it allows components to communicate via events instead of having to link them together. This is a very important principle in programming, right? So you can actually write this, and when the accounts get loaded from the API, this is an asynchronous operation, then you can emit an event, let's say account loaded. And another component, here I'm in models account, in another component, then you can just listen. When this event is fired, you can do other things. Again, this is really powerful and enables you to write larger, more stable, robust applications. And this is the kind of things that we help as Clay to do. Also data. I mean, the thing that we do the most when we are writing Salesforce applications is deal with data. We gotta be able to query and update very easily. The more power, or the more developers can focus on writing applications rather on API URLs and how the infrastructure will work to get that data back and forth, the easier and the more apps we can build. So we have a package, again, in NPM that's called Tribute Model. And also, this is where it comes in. This is the package that we have installed in AppExchange. When you install this package, this is the bridge between JavaScript and Salesforce data. So use in your Apex page, you just use the controller. We also have a component in case you don't want to use the controller. And this is the way we work. Basically, just write a query using SOQL. Also, we have helpers so that you don't have injection, SOQL injection. And you write a query, and then you register for the event like I showed you before. The event in this case is called refresh. And this is it. This is all you need to do to get data into Salesforce. Write a query and listen for that event. If you want to do some updates and things like that, update the data, this will be the way to create an account. All the developer needs to know is read our documentation, and this is very standard actually. Backbone.js, Spine.js, most of the frameworks that automate the connection to REST APIs use the same functions. So basically you do this. And if you want to update an account, all you need to do is update the actual field and then save it, and that's it. It will take care. It will return a promise. So you have an on-fail and an on-done function. Also, you can listen to different events, like the create event, the update event, and destroy event, or the refresh event I told you before. Again, this is very powerful because it allows you to write more robust applications. Finally, I'm almost done with the theory so that I can show you an actual application and get some questions from you. Building multi-platform applications. In this case, what I mean is building applications for Salesforce and building applications for Salesforce One. Also building applications for Salesforce sites. So in a kind of pseudocode way, this is how it will work. Let's say you have 4 components in your application. Remember, you can structure your code in components. So this brings many opportunities, even for testing. So you have an horizontal top menu, and this you would use in your mobile version. And you have a sidebar menu, and this you would use in your desktop version. You also have components that you will use in both, like main content and footer. The idea is that you can have one code base that you can actually adapt to different devices depending on screen size. And this is how you do it. You will define the screen size, and then you would set what is your entry point for that device. And then in your code, you will have different entry points, and those will be a JavaScript file that basically point to different components, like this way. Let's say you have the mobile entry point. The mobile entry point will be from 0 to 320, and you would get, actually you would use the horizontal menu. and you will instantiate it as a menu variable. But on the desktop version, you would actually use the sidebar menu. So this is a way that you can have one code base and then write several, and you can actually target several devices. And we also have the logic in place to detect what device it is, but this is something that is not hard nowadays. Also, and this I will leave for later because we don't have time, we have developed also the same automation and the same great our vision that how things should work very easily for Heroku Connect. And this, the idea is to build customer applications. And to build customer applications with Heroku Connect, we need a middle layer or an API middle layer that connects to Postgres database, and that also handles users, because each customer is going to be an user. So we have that going on, and we have a use case, a really interesting use case that is being used right now, because a Salesforce customer of ours built a solution to track something like a mileage package, like the airlines, you know, like how do you say, when you have an important customers like the VIP customers or things like that, you give points to them. So they build this using Salesforce data and Heroku Connect. So let's get to demo time. Because we changed, I was planning something different. I will leave the questions to the end, and I will take a couple of minutes to show you the demo. Basically, the demo has two requisites. First thing, in case you want to do it, the slides also. I show you this presentation is online. We build this presentation using Trivial technology as well. This is we're trying to innovate how to present and share things, and this will be the link. I'm gonna post it in the chat right now. And basically, the requisite is to install with npm Clay CLI. And if you need further instruction, we have a very we're working on the wiki and the documentation, but I think we have very clear first steps, and you can take a look at it. Also, in the bottom of the page, you can see we have the links to Clay on GitHub, the Clay wiki, and some Clay demos. I'm going to be showing you one of these demos. So first thing you need to do is install Clay CLI, and the second thing is to install the Clay for Salesforce package, and here's the link to install it on a developer or sandbox organization. The App Exchange trial force will have already maybe next week. We just published very, very recently into App Exchange. So let's go to the demo. Basically, the demo, from feedback, I was in San Francisco, and I had lunch with Sebs and some other guys from the team, and we were talking about how to show new technologies without actually scaring people. And I think we've been trying to innovate too much with our apps. So basically, I created a list, something very simple, very similar to Salesforce, that behaves in a different way. So basically, it has little animations, and this is not finished, but here's where the filters will be, but we'll have these kinds of animations that actually users enjoy very much. And the way to navigate will be like this. Instead of having to refresh the page, and this is just one way of doing it, and this was done very quickly. So let's say also editing, let's say if you wanna increase the percentage, all you need to do is go like this and enter, and it will save. Also, remember we were using the on-fail and undone account, so that you know also you can edit this and just change it. This is just an example of how UIs are built in a more, I don't know, JavaScript way or a faster way, because people are on the screen all day doing this. Also, very cool, this is the exact same application, the same code base, and the same thing I show you. Just in this case, we are using a list that is a table, and it's a component. And in this case, we are using a list that is actually, well, I'm sorry, this is actually a list. And it has the same components, like the header, but it works differently in this case. Also, you can edit, and it's exactly the same thing. Actually, the logic is the same. Also, we put the things in different places because it has a little differences. So let me show you the process on how this will work, actually. Let me show you the code, first of all, very quickly. And this will be the actual files. And I'll show you the controllers. Basically, we have three components or three controllers: the account detail, the account list, and the header controller. So the way this will work is I will use Clay server to develop the application, and I also have several organizations set up already. So basically, I'm going to deploy that development version. I'm uploading this Visualforce page, and it's going to open right away. The browser is going to open the app so that I can see it. So here's the app that you just saw. This is running on development, and I know because I use _dev. So if I make a change to the code, I don't know, let's come here, let's come to this layout, and instead of opportunities watcher, let's remove the watcher. Go to the code, refresh, And that's the change. I know I'm just changing something very small because of time, but actually see, I just changed the application, but this is actually how you will actually change the actual code. And as you can see, there's very little code, because when you structure code in a better way, you can actually just create components, and it's much easier and much faster. When you're ready to deploy, again, I'm just showing you what I showed in theory. You will upload the app, again, choose Clay, and this is going to pack the application or compile this whole application into a static resource, version it, and upload it into the application. The whole process is automated and it's very simple to use. This is something that is going to be happening quite a bit. All the files are uploaded. Well, actually, this is one file, only one zip file.
Roberto,
okay, so upload to self. I get the URL. Yes. Yes.
I don't know if I missed. Is your JavaScript making API web service calls, or are you invoking Apex? So where does this interact with the API and/or Apex?
Yes. Actually, we have a controller. This is the Salesforce, the Clay for Salesforce package that is installed from AppExchange. This is the one. So this is how it's communicating. It's communicating via Visualforce remoting. What we did is we created a bridge so that it's very simple to actually, make a create call, make a save call, and actually talk to the Apex controller right there. So this is the way it's being done.
That's for your application, okay. But like, for example, this list view of opportunities, you have JavaScript running on the Visualforce page. Did that make a web service call like a SOCL query, or did that actually invoke an Apex method? Because that's very different in terms of scalability, how many API calls I make versus running Apex.
Yeah, this is not an API call. This is using Visualforce remoting, so it won't count as an API call. But as you can see, I'll show you here, it's basically using a SOCL query directly in Apex, though. So let me show you how this is done.
Okay. So your controller is basically, your controller is a wrapper on our API, but it's invoked all through Apex. I got it.
Exactly. And this is called via Visualforce remoting to our Apex controller. That our Apex controller, we base it on ForceTK controller, right? And that's the way it's doing the queries and the editing. Also, we had to add other things because we also take care of the FCLs and the security things for the user. So depending on the user, it does follow what is configured in the security for that organization and that specific user. Actually, I'm done. If you guys have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And if that was clear.
How does obviously you charge for it, but do you let developers start for free, and after they create a couple widgets, they have to pay for it? I guess, is there a freemium model, and how do you charge for it?
Yes. Well, we are learning what is going to be the best approach for this, and we have I even went to Miami to have a meeting with Andres about this, and we've been talking about this a lot. Right now, we are charging per actual user on the account, on the organization that is going to be using this. So for development, it's really going to be no charge. We have even been talking about a developer license, but right now, what we want is actually to get people to try this. So it won't be charged until it's actually going to be used in an organization, and the package is going to be installed from AppExchange. The pricing is per user currently, but we have an aggressive discount strategy going on for this.
So it's per user for every user that's going to view any pages that were built using your JavaScript.
Yeah, users that will have access to that controller or to the actual package that gets installed.
And I can create as many pages as I want. It's just per user.
Yeah, we don't have restriction on that. Actually, before this, we used to deploy on our servers. Actually, it was on Amazon S3, but then we developed the technology to deploy as a static resource. So from our point of view, it doesn't really matter how many pages you create.
Right on.
So this next question, Seb, might be more for you, but is 3bot in the Aura pilot? Have you the new Aura technology that is going to be complementary to Visualforce?
Yes, they are.
Yes, yes. I've been trying it. I've been using it maybe for the past 3 weeks. I'm in the Aura pilot. I really like it. It's amazing, actually, the way the things we're going to be able to make from Visualforce. The thing is that it doesn't actually, it's not compatible with the way JavaScript is built. And basically, the main reason that I find that it's not really compatible with just the process and the way that we're building, not anything else, is because it basically uses Maven to handle packages and to make installations. This comes more from the Java world than from the JavaScript world. But I think, I mean, what Seb asked me is to try to integrate Aura into this. So basically, we can't because it uses different processes. But I think they do target the same objective, and for us, that's very important because it tells us that we're on the right track.
Got it. Yeah, that's interesting that it's not that compatible, but I agree that it is all going down. It's the same type of design pattern, so I get they are very similar in theory.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is all this comes from our experience from building applications in JavaScript. Actually, when I talk about applications, it's not using JavaScript in Visualforce, but actually building JavaScript applications and deploying them inside Visualforce. So, like if you see here, this would be the let me see, this would be the actual Visualforce page. Basically, it's just a couple of lines of code. What actually gets going is here. So there's basically no Visualforce, it's all JavaScript. That's the big difference. In some cases, also important that I forgot to mention is that our vision for the use of this, it's the traditional applications or the traditional Salesforce UI is for everybody. When you want to use Clay and you want to use one of these apps, you want to build an application, it's for a specific purpose, that you want to make something easier or you want to enable something that is particular to you. So that's the use case where we have been using Clay. If you can package apps, yes, you can package apps. I hear a question here. Can I ask you if you can package apps created with Clay? Yes, you can package apps. For ISVs, for example, and this is our main target right now. We have been talking a lot about the ISV team. The idea is that we can make special negotiations with ISVs so that they can package our controller and the Visualforce page and the static resource is very easy, and they can package our controller inside their application and they can distribute it to everybody. I don't know if there are any other questions regarding the technology or our vision or even feedback.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time to show us this today. Appreciate it.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you everybody for listening and to giving us the opportunity.
Great.
Thanks, Roberto.
All right.
Have a
Hope
great
everybody
day.
has a great long weekend. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Perfect. Bye.